Appreciate it.
What's the name?
Reb Yaakov ben Reb Nosson.
We'll learn Nishmas Reb Yaakov ben Reb Nosson.
Amen.
It's a good that he came to the world so that we could enjoy Philippe. His neshama should have an aliyah. He should be a Melitz Yosher for his family, for all of us and all of Klal Yisrael. Philippe, we have something in common. Tonight is the yahrzeit of my Zayda, Reb Menachem and Reb Yitzchak Yarowitz, who lived till 101, and I knew him well. His neshama should have a big aliyah, and he should be Melitz Yosher for his well over 100 Yotzei Chalatzav that he left behind in this world. Every one of his descendants is Shemer Torah Mitzvahs. An amazing accomplishment for.
The Shabbos should have an aliyah, Rabbi.
Amen.
Amen.
We are also dedicated by A.B. Spry with the tefillah that all those that are trying to get into yeshiva should be able to do so pleasantly without heartache. We also learn for Aaron ben Sarah, should have a refuah shalema b'sek shechel Yisrael. Itmar, bottom line of Daf Mem Tes Amud Beis, Itmar, Orav de Ksuva, the guarantor of a Ksuva, Divra kol loy mishtabed. He is not, it's not binding. Everybody holds that because, you know what? He wanted to clinch the deal. He saw an older couple, and because of ksuva considerations, they weren't going to get married. So he did it only, he didn't really mean to obligate himself. He did it so that a couple should get married. Kablan, now remember, a kablan is a guarantor that accepts upon himself, even if the other person has money, even if the debtor has money, he says, I accept first responsibility. Kablan de Balchayv, if he's a kablan for Marshall who owes money, Divrei Akol Mishtabed, everybody holds that he obligates himself. Because obviously he understands that the one, Mark, who was foolish enough to give a loan to Marshall, he knows that Mark will be out of money. So if he sticks his neck out, he understands that Mark is counting on him. And since he agreed even to that Marshall could come and collect him first, so that means he really obligated himself. Arav de Balchayv, a regular guarantor for a creditor, a regular guarantor for Marshall, he's not a kablan. That means that he has to go to Marshall first before he comes to him. The kablan de ksuva and a kablan of a ksuva, that's a bigger acceptance. He's saying that the wife could come to him even before she goes to the husband or to the orphans. Pligi, there we have a machlokes whether it's binding or not. Even if at the time of the loan Marshall was stone broke, mishtabed, he's mishabed himself. If Marshall had money at the time, mishtabed, then the Arav was mishabed himself. If he doesn't have any money, then loy mishtabed, then he didn't obligate himself. And here's the bottom line. This is what Marshall always wants to know. Just tell me the bottom line. And if you're just joining us, welcome Ruvain Pollack and Richard Rosenzweig, who is giving us the benefit of the vision. It's not always, maybe you should take pictures that we should. I want you to know, Richard, I told the Kruller Rebbe about what I told you about reading biographies, because the Kruller Rebbe was telling me how important Sipurei Tzadikim are. And I told him the story of you with the biographies, and he said he's going to say it over in the Tish this Shabbos. The Hilchas Abekulu, in all of the cases, Afal Gav de Leslie, even if when the Arav issues his guarantee, Marshall was stone broke, still mishtabed, still he obligates himself, bar ma'arav de ksuva, except for a guarantor of a ksuva. Kablan of a ksuva, where he says you could collect from even before going to the husband or the orphans, that does obligate. But an arav of a ksuva, an arav, there, the arav never meant to obligate himself. He was just being a shadchan. There, bar ma'arav de ksuva, the afagav de isla, even if the husband had money at the time, loy mishtabed, he didn't obligate himself. My time, a mitzvah, David. He did a mitzvah. He put a husband and wife together. V'loy midei chasvan, and it cost him anything. To the contrary, the woman, it says about a woman, tav l'meisiv tandu, l'meisiv amlu, she'd rather live married than alone. Ravina, tajma, me ikara de takanosim. From the initial takana, we see that Yoiser Mimasha Ish writes Alisa, Isha writes Alinase. That's why, if you remember, we said that the why is Ksuvas Isha Miziburius? Because we don't need to give her that much reason to get married. I know it's the idea why a Ksuvas Isha maybe should be from Baininus is that she should feel more secure and therefore want to get married, that if something doesn't work out, she'll get from Baininus. We don't have to give her so much of an incentive, because we said that more than a man wants to get married, a woman wants to marry. So therefore we don't have to give her that much incentive, and that's why we said the Ksuvas Isha Ziburius. Obviously that's talking about where it's collected from the husband in case of divorce. Because if it's talking about from the orphans are always biziburious. You don't need that reason. The reason why it's ziburious is because any collection from orphans is from the poorest grade real estate. So Tiyufta de Marzuta, this is a refutation of Marzuta. Remember, Marzuta wanted to say that if the husband divorces her, she could collect the Ksuvas Isha from Baininus. So from here we see clearly that even if the husband divorces her, the Ksuvas Isha is from Ziburius. And we're getting richer here by the minute, as Shimon Klein has just joined us, and Abe Arbach has just joined us, and Gedalia Engel. Gedalia Engel is here. Now I'm really feeling at home. Gedalia, we've been missing you.
What a family chasana last night.
I'm telling you, if I had a nickel for that kind of excuse, you should know, Berish pulled that on me twice this week. So it's what I'm telling you, the nerve of these people. It must be a fairways thing, all these weddings. The cat's away, the mice will play, And now, Yisrael Fisher is joining us from Tannersville. Yisrael Fisher, I guess it's a long drive from Tannersville. Avram Schenkman, it's good to see you. Mel Zachter, it's good to see you. David Helfgott and Kolaloshin. So now, if you're just joining us in progress, we are at the 2 dots, and we are situated 12 lines from the top of Daf Nun. If a promissory note is presented against orphans, now this is talking about where their father owed money, the father died, so the creditor presents an IOU against the orphans. Now here it's interesting. Remember, a normal creditor collects baininus. He collects the mediocre level land. But now the Gemara says a very big chiddush. Afal pi shekoseb by shevach. Even if in the promissory note, the creditor, here Mark is flexing his muscles now, he writes to Chatzkel that I want to have the privilege to collect from your best property. Interesting. even though Baal Chayv normally is only entitled to Baininus. But look, the creditor, he's giving out his money. He could make stipulations. So here, Mark gave a loan to Chatzkel and told him, I want to be able to collect from the idiots, from the best. And then Chatzkel goes ahead and dies. Nerve of him. Mark says, I got all the luck. Can't even see Mark tonight. He says, I got all the luck. Chatzkel goes ahead and dies. So now he wants to go to the Yisayimim, who normally he only has the right to collect from Zeburius. He wants to collect from the best because it said so in the IOU note. Says Mar Zutra over here, a very big chiddush. Amar Mar Zutra b'rei Rav Nachman Shmei Rav Nachman Shtar Chayva Yoytze Al Yisayimim Afal Pi Shekosav By Shvach. Even though there was a clause that the creditor was entitled to the best quality, since it's Yisayimim, he could only get from the cheapest quality. Amar Abaye says, well, it stands to reason. Teda de Baal Chayv, normally a Baal Chayv, what's Baal Chayv entitled to? Baininus. Teda de Baal Chayv, dina bebaininus, and yet, because it's a Yosim, it's downgraded to Ziburius. Or Miyasme Ziburius. So here also, even though it was entitled to Idius because it was in the clause, but when it goes to Yisayimim, it's downgraded. Amalei Rava, so Rava says, nah, I don't like that logic. Listen to what Rava says. Hachi Hashka. Baal Chayv, a creditor, what's biblically he entitled to? Baal Chayv dina midaraisa only beziburius. He's only entitled to weak property. This is a new piece of information to us. No, it's the din that we said in the Mishnah that Baal Chayv b'beininus is not deraisa. Deraisa, a creditor is only entitled to ziburius. Why? Kedula. The Amar Ula, Dvar Torah, biblically speaking, Baal Chayv b'ziburius. Shenemar b'chutz tamid, the creditor stands outside, v'ish asher atanoi shabai, and the man that you have a claim has to bring out collateral. Now it doesn't say what kind of collateral he has to bring out. And since it doesn't say, tafas de meruba le tafas, tafas de mu'at le tafas, we assume it's the least. He only has to bring out his cheapest stuff. Ma darka shel ish lo yitzi pocha shebekela. So really a Baal Chayv only has to pay the cheapest stuff. So why did we upgrade a Baal Chayv to Baininus? Umatam omru Baal Chayv b'Baininus. Why do we upgrade a Baal Chayv to Baininus? Kidei shaloi tinel delas b'fnei love. That's because we don't want people not to give loans. If Mark, every time he gives loans to Marshall could pay him with old hubcaps. That's what Marshall does. He sends him over 600 old hubcaps.
Don't give away my secret.
Right? So if then Mark won't give loans. So therefore they protected. Remember, I told you that business turns on credit. The lubrication of business is available credit, and therefore, and therefore, because of that, they upgraded it by drabanan. They upgraded it to baininus. And therefore, when it comes to Yisayimim, they put it at the biblical, which is Ziburius. But over here, since when Mark gave the loan, he specified in the shtar that it should be idius, it should be shevach. So then that's the raisa. Halacha came in the dinim of the raisa be'idius. Then that should be even by Yisayimim. Afilu miyasmei nami be'idius. Says the Gemara, as we welcome in Yitzi Padawer, it's wonderful to have Yitzi Padawer, who's the 29th Zoomer of the evening. We need one more to make 30. Marshall, could you do something useful?
I don't know. I'm not used to that.
I know. Look at Yisrael Fisher. He finally pulled in from Tannersville. Says the Gemara,
I can log in twice.
No, but what you could do is you could stay for the Shabbos table later. Says the Gemara, Ularava, Vatani Avram Chuzah, Ein Nifran Menichse Yesaimim Ela Min Aziburius. Listen to this interesting teaching. We don't collect from Nichse Yesaimim only from Ziburius, Va'afilu Hein Nizakin, even if it's damages. And now, damages are midaraisa from Idias. And yet it says that the Yesaimim Aziburius. So you see, even though midaraisa it's Idias, we downgrade it by Yesaimim to Ziburius. And here it is, Eddie Chazan is our 30th Zoomer of the evening. Mamish, I noticed that Marshall didn't twitch a muscle, but Marshall, maybe you said a prayer.
I sneezed when he came on.
Eddie, it's great to have you. You're our 30th Zoomer of the evening. I won't mention that you're 40 minutes late. I will not do that.
40 minutes late?
What?
I thought it was like an 8:50 start time.
Yeah, so I give it take 10 minutes.
He took the 10, don't worry.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Anyway, Eddie, don't let that stop you. You could come on here from China. Where are you? In China? Where are you?
No, North Carolina.
North Carolina. All right. I knew it was somewhere near China. A little further than Tannersville. We got to cut him slack. Anyway, but at least he's not in a car.
Checked in.
Checked in the Holiday Inn in North Carolina.
Almost.
Room 208?
124.
Anyway, 208 wasn't available.
Yeah, Mark was there, don't worry.
Now, so the Gemara says, so you see that even though the assignment, it's talking about Nizikin, which is Midoraisa by Idias, we do downgrade the assignment to Zibaris. Says the Gemara, no. My afilu hein Idias, lava afal, excuse me, Vatani Rebbe Eliezer, excuse me, I'm sorry. See, I did the cardinal error of interrupting myself. Let's go back. Vatani Avram Chuzah, ein nefram nichse Yesaimim elamina ziburis, va'afilu hein nizaken, even if it's damages. V'nizaken dinan midoraisa b'idis, because it says meitav sadeo meitav kama yishalim, and yet the din is that we downgrade it to Ziburius. Says Gemara, no. We're talking about where the idius of the nizik was like the ziburius of the mazik, and therefore that's what it means that you only have to pay from ziburius, because the halach is like Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel, who says that midoraisa it's the by nizakin, it's the idius of the nizik. Rabbi Shmuel, da'amar midoraisa, but the nizik shaymina, and it was just mipnei tikkun ha'olam that they made it the idius of the mazik, or mipnei tikkun ha'olam tikkun rabban b'the mazik. But by Yesaimim, they made it under the raisa that it's the idius of the nizik, which is the ziburius of the mazik. V'gabe yasmi rabban and the raisa. Says the Gemara ini. So now the Gemara quotes a very unusual teaching. Vatani Rebbe Eliezer Nivta. Wonder how Artzko pronounces that name.
Same way.
Yeah, I got it right. Vatani Rebbe Eliezer Nivta. That's a very uncommon name. By the way, whenever it does that, it's because it's not the regular Rebbe Eliezer. The regular Rebbe Eliezer, which is Rebbe Eliezer ben Shamua, there it just says Rebbe Eliezer. When it's a different Rebbe Eliezer, then it gives a description. So Vatani Rebbe Eliezer Nivta'a Ein Nifra Menichse Yesaimim Ela Min Haziburius Va'afilu hein idius. What does that mean? We only collect from the Nichse Yisayimim Ziburius, even if it's idius. Now, what does that mean? So the Gemara assumes that this means our case. Even though in Mark's shtar it's specified idius, still we collect from Ziburius. My afilu hein idius, lav afal gav. Doesn't this mean that afal gav dechsiv idius b'shtara? As I told you, Mark is very shrewd, and he wrote in the shtar that he should be able to collect from the shevach. And even so, we say that by Yisayimim, it's Ziburius. Says Gemara, Loi. My idius, shvoy idius. It means that in an event where in an event in the event that you damage the assignment, Marshall damages the assignment. So the din is that they have the right to collect from Marshall's best property. But what happens if Marshall's best property gets flooded? So there Marshall could say to the Yisayimim, Mazlach Goram, your mazel caused it, and now you could only collect from Ziburius. Let's see it inside. Actually, it's not talking about Marshall. It's talking about where the Yisayimim are chayiv to pay for the damages. Right? The orphans are chayiv to pay for the damages. Now, orphans are chayiv to pay for the damages from the best property. But in this case, their best property got flooded. So they can say, look, you were supposed to get from the best property. That was yours. But it got flooded. That's your mazel. Now, because you're Yisayimim, you're not downgraded to the next best, but you're downgraded to Ziburius. Let's see this inside. This is really of a whopper of a chiddush. Let's see it inside. My idius shvoy idius kidarava. The Amarava has Ziburius. If you damage the worst property, still because it says meitiv sadeh meitiv kama yishalim, goyva mina idius. You have the right to collect from the best stuff. But shvoy idius, if the best land gets flooded, so then the mazel could say, that's your mazel. That land was yours, it got flooded, that's your mazel, and therefore now you're downgraded to a regular creditor, right? That I owe you money. Goyvim in abeninus. V'gabe yasmei, but by Yisayimim, when there's a downgrade, we give it to the regular law of Yisayimim, which is ukmura rabbanan adoraisa, which would be, in the case of a creditor, Ziburius, and therefore you could only collect from them Ziburius.
Why couldn't we give the answer we had before? That it's talking about Rabbi Shmuel, and we b'diraisa, he didn't have. Did we say that before? Same type of.
You don't like this answer?
I just don't know why he couldn't answer the other answer. That would have sufficed. Also, that wasn't the case. Maybe you have to.
In the other case, the lashon was va'afilu hein nizaken. Here, the lashon is even though it's idios. It's a different lashon. Ein nefram nichse Yisayimim ela min Ziburius. We only collect from orphans from Ziburius. So now the Gemara asks an interesting thing. Is this even older orphans? In other words, what happened over here is Chatzkel owed money. He died. And now his orphans are 30 and 43. Do they still get the protection of only from Zibarius, or is it only if they're Ketanim? This is a very basic question for all over Shas. Is it minors or afilu gedolim? Do we say takantu David Rabbanan Gabe Yasmei? They did this extra favor for the assignment to make their life easier. After all, they're young orphans. As we go to our 31st Zumer of the night, wow, actually 32nd Zumer of the night. So that's beautiful. Rabbi said that's beautiful. And therefore, liktanim avid rabbanon, likdoilim lo yavid rabbanon. Oy dilma, or is the reason? Remember, why did we say? And now we go to our 33rd Zumer of the night. Still, Marshall hasn't twitched a muscle.
I work in mysterious ways.
Yeah, very, very mysterious.